My name's Emma Sexton. I am the founder and creative director of Make Your Words Work, and we're a design agency enabling our clients to use design to transform their businesses. So we use presentation software for our clients. Well, I say we use presentation software. It's mainly PowerPoint, and I think, you know, we try and stay away from Prezi. We will use Keynote, but actually, if we're going to do something in PowerPoint, it's because we need to enable our clients to repurpose the content. Otherwise, we won't tend to use the presentation software. The demand for designers to be able to use PowerPoint has massively increased. There is a real misuse of PowerPoint, but nevertheless, I think until somebody plugs the gap in the market for a piece of software that, you know, clients can edit and designers can work with, there's going to be a need for PowerPoint. And I think with the recession, what that brought is a lot of companies wanting to, you know, empower themselves and enable themselves. And quite often when you're working with clients, there's an awful lot of content that they create in PowerPoint that they want to repurpose and repackage and reuse, because they're not necessarily creating fresh content all the time. And I think a lot of designers refuse to work in PowerPoint, but actually, you know, there's a real need for clients, and there's a big gap in the skill base for that. It's happened, I think, because businesses have a need for design, so I think they're understanding more how design and graphics enhance their content, but they're never going to change the fact that when they're working on their pitches, their proposals, their credentials, that they are going to need to edit that copy. You know, when they're doing the kind of the new business side of things, they want great content, but it's got to be content that they can reuse and repurpose, especially if they don't have designers in-house. And I think designers really need to start working across the two, because you can create great graphics that you then put into PowerPoint, and, you know, a lot of the projects that we work on are almost like a hybrid of designed content and then editable text. So yeah, there's a big need for that. There's not enough good presentation designers out there. I think, well, there are some really good presentation designers, but what falls down is always the design and typography. You know, and I think traditionally presentation designers have been in a very corporate world, but now there's a massive need for, you know, there's even, you know, advertising agencies, marketing agencies that want to do great content, but they do need to use presentation software such as PowerPoint. The best presentation designers, I think it depends what their final output is, because presentation designing can be broad. It can be from, you know, setting up templates, in which case you need somebody who really knows how to master PowerPoint, to perhaps doing a 20-slide impactful presentation where what you really want is a really good graphic designer. So you need those people to both be able to touch the other side. So a good designer needs to understand PowerPoint, but perhaps might not understand PowerPoint enough to set up, you know, all master slides or templates. And then that really strong PowerPoint person probably needs to know how they can add in other graphics and other materials other than what's limited in PowerPoint. My preference for presentation software, I think it's tricky. We try to stay away from it. I mean, Keynote's really good. We use Keynote for our credentials because typographically it's much better. You can make things look well designed. You can do some really nice animation and transitions in there. But we tend not to use Keynote for our clients because that, again, locks the content. So for our clients, we tend to use PowerPoint. But for ourselves, we'll use Keynote. Prezi we tend to avoid. Again, it's something that our clients find really tricky to use, and there's limitations in terms of how you can use that software. Presentation designing can be really good for your career, because I think the challenge for a designer is not about how you make 100 slides look pretty. Your challenge as a designer is how do you help your client use design to make that content have an impact. So how do you help them perhaps take those 100 slides into 20 slides of really impactful graphics that tell a story. So I think, you know, it's very easy for a designer to go, oh, you know, I'm just going to style 100 slides of PowerPoint and that's just misery. And I would say, well, actually, if you're consulting with your clients and working with them in the right way, you'll be thinking about how you can bring to life their content and solve their design problems in a more interesting way. I think if you want to, there's a basic day rate for and a basic salary for presentation designers. And I think if you want to increase that, you've got to start working with your clients in a different way. You need to know more about storytelling. You need to think more about how your client is going to engage the audience with those slides. And then that's what's going to take your salary up for presentation design. If you want to stand out in the role of a presentation designer, you really have to know the difference between doing the styling for your client versus helping them communicate, and using graphic design for the kind of purpose that it was invented, which was about communication and storytelling. So I think that's one of the key things. There's definitely pros and cons to being a presentation designer. I think the cons are, if you do have to work in PowerPoint, PowerPoint is not a design program, so it doesn't have any of the style sheets, doesn't have any of the shortcuts, so it becomes quite challenging to, and time consuming to, create documents for your clients. So that's definitely a con. But the pro is that you have a real opportunity to work with your clients to create some really beautiful presentation design. I mean, even if you just look on Pinterest at some presentation designs there for PowerPoint, there's some really beautiful graphic design that's been produced. The future of presentation design, I'd really love somebody to come up with some software that would allow our clients to edit content the way they can in PowerPoint, but that has the style sheets, the shortcut keys, the typographical layout, the way that you can manage images that the Adobe software does. So I would love somebody to invent that software. Maybe Microsoft and Adobe need to get together to do that. And I think the other need will be more interactivity. The interactive PDFs now that you can create where you've got videos embedded and you can do animation, that's really interesting. So seeing more designers adopt those skills as well is an interesting place.
Source LF are London's leading creative communications and media recruitment agency. Be sure to like our video and subscribe to this channel. Take the moment to watch another of our videos on screen now.